So this is my review of the Beatles album Let It Be. It was released in 1970, produced by Phil Spector. Even though I think George Martin kind of did the original sessions, and then Phil Spector just kind of added stuff later. Not really sure, but I think that's how it worked. This album, I know it came out after Abbey Road when they were originally released, but since it was recorded before Abbey Road, I decided to review it in that order, not when it came out. So this was an album that I got sometime when I was in high school. I don't really remember when, but I remember that it was kind of always, for a long time, well, not always, but it was kind of like one of my less favorite Beatles albums for a long time. I never really super got into it. It's not one that I spent like a whole lot of time listening to it. It was one that I would go back and listen to on occasion, so I'm pretty familiar with it, but it's not one that I really liked. I think my opinion of it's gotten a little bit better after doing this listen through of it tonight. So kind of going into the songs, the first song, Two of Us, is a song that I've always really liked. I think it's a really good way to start the album. I've always really liked the vocals on it, just really like this song in general. The second song, Dig a Pony. Another one I like. I think it sounds good, but it's kind of, some of these tracks, I think the ones that they did like the live recordings for or whatever, sound a little bit rough. This one kind of does, but I kind of like that. But I think maybe when I was younger, that was one of the things I didn't like about this album, is that it had that sound. But now it's something that I can appreciate a little bit more. The third song, Across the Universe, another song I've always really liked too. Just always thought it was a really cool song. I'm pretty sure that song's the reason I got this album, because I remember when I was in high school, one of my English teachers had some of the lyrics to that song up on the wall, and I found out I was reading them one time, and I was like, oh, that's interesting words, wonder what's that's from, and I saw a picture of the Beatles next to it. I was like, oh, it must be one of their songs, so then I decided to find out which one, but anyway, cool song. The fourth song, I Mean Mine, is a George song, and I like George's vocal on it a lot. I think it's a pretty cool song. I like Ringo's drumming on it too. I like Ringo's playing on a lot of this album actually, which, I mean, I usually always like Ringo's playing anyway, but for some reason on this album, I don't know, I like the way his drums sound on a lot of these songs. But anyway, yeah, I Mean Mine's, it's a good song. And once again, I feel like during this period of the band, George is kind of my favorite person as far as his songs and stuff that he was contributing. The song Dig It is really just sort of 50 seconds. It's not, I mean, it's not bad, doesn't really lower my opinion of the record any, but it's not really important. The sixth song, Let It Be, I think it's a great title track. I really like the guitar solo on it actually. Really like Paul's vocal, of course. Drumming, I really like on the song. Probably one of the highlights of the album. The seventh song, Maggie May's, another just kind of one of those short, 41-second songs. I mean, it's not horrible. It doesn't ruin the album or anything, but it's just kind of well, whatever. The eighth song, I've Got a Feeling. This song that I kind of used to not really like, but it's kind of grown on me over the years, and still not really one of my favorites, but I don't mind it. The ninth song, One After 909, another one I used to not really like, and I mean, it's fine, but it just kind of seems to me I know they were going for a more kind of stripped back rock thing on this album, but it just seems like some of the songs they just kind of wrote kind of I don't know, silly or not as serious songs that just kind of weren't maybe quite up to the standards of some of the stuff they were doing before. And I mean, I know that they've kind of done that a little bit on the White Album, but I don't think, on that album, I think it was a little bit more ridiculous, so it sort of worked a little bit better. So the 10th song, The Long and Winding Road, I really like Paul's vocal on it. I think it's a cool song. Never really had a problem with the orchestration. I know they didn't like it, but I think it kind of works. The 11th song, For Your Blue, another George song that I think is pretty cool, and I kind of think it seems to me kind of a sillier song a little bit more of like a lightweight song, kind of like One After 909. But this one I think kind of works better because it just sounds more interesting. Like George was kind of putting more effort into his writing at that point, and writing kind of just more interesting songs, even if it was just kind of more for like a fun, laid back sort of thing. Then the 12th song, Get Back, is I think a really good closing track and another one of the kind of highlights of the album. Overall, I'd give the album I think a 4 out of 5, which is kind of probably higher than what I thought I would have rated going in. I think I would have thought I would have given it a 3 out of 5 just based on what I remembered. But I did enjoy it a lot more than what I remembered, and I don't think it's a bad album. I just think compared to the stuff that came before it, and then Abbey Road, I just think it's not quite like as good as the other stuff that they were doing. I know that the White Album I thought was like a little bit of a step down after Sgt. Pepper's and Magical Mystery Tour, but that was more just because there was kind of some unnecessary stuff on it. It kind of works because it's a double album, but with this it's just like there's kind of some unnecessary stuff, and then some of it's just kind of like they weren't trying quite as hard, so it's just kind of not up to the standards of the stuff that they had done before it, but it's not a bad album.